The deer and its glorious antlers. In a lush, verdant forest teeming with life, there lived a magnificent deer whose beauty was unmatched by any other creature. This deer, a mature and powerful buck, carried atop his head a set of antlers so grandiose they resembled a crown intricately crafted by nature itself. Each antler branched into numerous elegant points, and their polished surfaces gleamed spectacularly in the sunlight, radiating a dazzling brilliance. Every sunrise brought a spectacle as golden rays pierced through the dense canopy above, spotlighting his glorious antlers, making them shine like precious gemstones. The forest community revered him as a king. Female deer gazed with admiration, whispering among themselves about his unmatched charm. Smaller animals gathered curiously, their eyes wide with awe whenever he gracefully walked past, his posture regal, his stride confident. Birds would pause mid-flight, captivated by his grandeur, singing songs that seemed to celebrate his existence. Even predators recognized his dominance, often choosing to avoid confrontation. Yet no admiration surpassed his own pride. Each day he admired himself in the clear forest pools, marveling at the reflections staring back. His pride, though once harmless, steadily grew into dangerous vanity. Soon enough, this pride clouded his judgment. He felt invincible, believing that his beauty and strength placed him above the threats and perils of the forest. With each passing day, his vigilance waned, replaced by careless confidence. But nature has its own ways of humbling even its most splendid creatures. On a seemingly ordinary day, the peaceful silence of the forest shattered abruptly. Hunters had invaded the tranquil haven, their intent clear and ruthless. The deer, startled by the sudden chaos, felt fear surge through his veins. Instinctively, he leaped forward, fleeing from the sound of snapping twigs and human voices echoing menacingly through the trees. His powerful muscles propelled him swiftly through thick bushes and twisted roots, his agility unmatched even in panic. However, pride had dulled the precision of his movements. In one miscalculated leap, he stumbled and plunged into a narrow, shadowy ravine. Fate cruelly intervened as his treasured antlers, once his crowning glory, wedged tightly between two large, unforgiving rocks. Terror seized him as he struggled desperately, his hooves scraping against the slippery stones beneath him. Hours turned into days, and the great deer remained trapped, his strength gradually fading. His glorious antlers, symbols of beauty and pride, now served as shackles, mocking his helplessness. Despite his fierce struggle, freedom eluded him. Ultimately, he succumbed not to the hunters who chased him, but to dehydration and exhaustion, tragically ensnared by the very thing he cherished most. To human life and fleeting glory. Just as the majestic deer fell victim to his pride, humans too often face a parallel fate. Throughout history, countless individuals have demonstrated remarkable resilience, overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles. They endured severe hardships, famine, poverty, war, disease, and emerged stronger, wiser, and better equipped for life's challenges. Such experiences forged their character, sharpening their sense of determination and self-awareness. However, paradoxically, many of these same individuals become vulnerable precisely when they achieve their greatest success. Having climbed to the summit of their dreams, standing amidst applause, bright lights, immense wealth, and widespread recognition, their previously steadfast resolve begins to weaken. Success, with its dazzling allure, can be intoxicating. It has the uncanny ability to dull one's sense of vigilance and critical judgment, creating an illusion of invincibility. At these heights, fame, power, and wealth form a seductive cocoon. It envelopes individuals, convincing them they are untouchable and immortal in their achievements. Surrounded by admirers and yes-men, they lose touch with reality. The external validation becomes addictive, leading them to disregard the internal compass that once guided them wisely through adversity. In moments of glory, vulnerability thrives. Ironically, It is precisely when others regard us most highly that we are most prone to overlook our faults, weaknesses, and the inherent fragility of our human condition. We cease introspection, falsely believing our triumphs are permanent and unassailable. Pride and complacency slowly replace humility and prudence, setting the stage for potential disaster. History repeatedly illustrates that those who forget their past struggles are destined to repeat or even surpass them in severity. High-profile figures, from leaders and celebrities to successful entrepreneurs, often illustrate this cautionary tale vividly. Their spectacular rises often precede equally dramatic falls, serving as stark reminders of glory's fleeting nature and perilous allure. Thus, human life echoes the tragedy of the deer. The most significant danger is not always adversity itself, but rather the deceptive comforts and adulation that accompany success. Maintaining awareness of this truth is essential to navigating the precarious paths of triumph. 3. Peaks and abysses, two sides of success. Success can often be likened to climbing an imposing mountain, a daunting yet rewarding endeavor. At the peak, the view is breathtaking. Vast expanses of sky stretch infinitely, and the world appears to lie humbly at one's feet. This vantage point brings immense joy, fulfillment, and a sense of invincibility. For a moment, one feels as though they have transcended human limitations, achieving greatness few others can claim. Yet hidden behind the splendor of these panoramic vistas lies a treacherous abyss, a silent and ever-present threat. This abyss symbolizes the risks, temptations, and pitfalls inherent in achievement. Standing atop the mountain, one must acknowledge the proximity of danger. The smallest misstep, driven by arrogance, complacency, or reckless ambition, can lead to a catastrophic fall, swiftly transforming glory into despair. The ascent to success carries a paradoxical challenge. The higher one climbs, the stronger the winds become. Winds of envy from others who crave similar success, winds of temptation urging reckless decisions, and winds of complacency whispering false reassurances. These fierce gusts test the climber's resilience, character, and wisdom more severely than the hardships faced on the climb upward. Individuals reaching these summits often forget the virtues that carried them safely through adversity. At these heights, surrounded by acclaim and power, humility is often abandoned in favor of pride. The once clear path becomes obscured by clouds of illusion and arrogance, increasing the likelihood of disastrous decisions. Self-awareness and humility become not merely virtues, but essential survival skills. Many have ascended only to find the summit lonely, dangerous, and deceptively calm. History recounts numerous individuals who, upon reaching their highest achievements, became disconnected from their reality, misjudging the risks around them. Leaders who rose swiftly and fell dramatically illustrate vividly that success itself harbors inherent dangers, more subtle and destructive than the threats faced in earlier struggles. The abyss awaiting those who fail to manage success wisely is unforgiving. It patiently waits, silent yet ever-present, a reminder that each decision at the top carries potentially irreversible consequences. This abyss teaches that success requires continuous vigilance, careful management, humility, and an enduring sense of balance between ambition and grounded reality. Thus, the two sides of success, the exhilarating peak and the daunting abyss, coexist closely, reminding climbers that glory and danger walk hand in hand. The true test of greatness lies not in the ascent itself, but in maintaining one's integrity and wisdom while navigating the precarious edges of the summit. For our traps are often our greatest strengths. Life is filled with ironic contradictions, the most profound of which often revolves around our greatest strengths turning into our most dangerous traps. These strengths, whether they manifest as physical prowess, intellectual brilliance, charisma, wealth, or authority, initially propel us toward our most notable achievements. They distinguish us from others, bringing admiration, respect, and power. Yet these same strengths, if left unchecked or mismanaged, frequently become our undoing. Much like the deer whose magnificent antlers, a source of immense pride and identity, ultimately became his downfall, humans often fall victim to their most celebrated qualities. The very attributes that once served as powerful tools for advancement and success become liabilities when pride replaces humility, and complacency overtakes vigilance. Consider the powerful ruler whose immense authority initially brought prosperity and stability to their people. Over time, unchecked power may corrupt, transforming wise governance into tyranny. Authority once admired quickly becomes despised, leading to unrest and downfall. Similarly, brilliant intellect, admired and sought after, can evolve into arrogance, leading individuals to underestimate others and overlook critical risks, culminating in catastrophic misjudgments. Talents and strengths can blind individuals, creating illusions of invincibility. Beauty, charisma, and wealth, qualities that attract praise and admiration, can foster excessive self-assurance, distorting perceptions of reality. People become overly reliant on superficial qualities, losing sight of deeper values and truths. Consequently, they become vulnerable, easily exploited by flattery or deception, and ultimately isolated from genuine connections and reality. Our greatest strengths set traps precisely because they encourage complacency and reduce critical self-awareness. We cease questioning ourselves, believing our greatest assets are infallible. We forget that every strength contains the seed of its opposite when allowed to grow unchecked. Confidence becomes arrogance, decisiveness becomes impulsivity, ambition becomes ruthlessness, and leadership turns into oppression. History vividly illustrates this phenomenon through countless cautionary tales. Brilliant strategists undone by their own cunning, wealthy entrepreneurs ruined by their reckless ambition, famous artists destroyed by fame and excess. Each tale underscores how quickly one's greatest attributes can become sources of vulnerability and ultimate failure. Thus, managing our strengths requires extraordinary self-awareness, continuous reflection, and profound humility. We must constantly remind ourselves that what elevates us can also bring us down. Genuine strength lies not merely in possessing remarkable qualities, but in the wisdom to use them wisely, balancing them with humility and cautious introspection. In essence, recognizing and managing the inherent risks within our strengths is perhaps the most challenging yet essential task we face. Understanding that our greatest gifts hold the potential for our greatest downfall equips us with the caution and humility necessary to avoid tragic endings. Holding on to yourself in hardship and glory. The true test of character is not only surviving adversity but also navigating the complexities of success with grace and humility. Hardship, although daunting, has a clarifying effect. It strips away pretensions, forcing us to confront our innermost truths and resources. Many find their greatest strengths during these challenging periods, discovering resilience and determination previously unknown to them. However, the journey does not end once adversity is overcome. The far subtler yet more difficult challenge arises when we reach our goals and stand atop the peak of achievement. In moments of triumph and glory, maintaining our integrity and grounding is profoundly challenging. Here, the real battle lies in resisting the seductive allure of complacency, arrogance, and entitlement. Achieving success often feels like a validation of personal value, but this validation can quickly turn toxic if we interpret success as proof of superiority. When surrounded by accolades, wealth, and power, maintaining humility and self-awareness requires conscious and deliberate effort. It demands constant self-reflection, remembering the trials endured and acknowledging the fragility of our achievements. Wisdom lies in understanding that success is not a permanent state but a fleeting moment that must be continuously earned and preserved. True success isn't defined by external achievements alone but by our inner growth, wisdom, and emotional maturity. It is about recognizing our vulnerabilities even amidst our strengths, and holding on to core values and genuine humility despite external praise. Many great figures in history provide powerful examples of maintaining oneself amid glory. Those who remain respected and remembered positively are often those who never lost sight of their humanity and compassion, who continuously acknowledged their humble beginnings and never allowed success to corrupt their essential goodness. Conversely, history is equally filled with cautionary tales of those who allowed success to distort their identities and moral compasses. These individuals, despite their immense talents and achievements, often found themselves isolated, disillusioned, and eventually forgotten or remembered negatively. They remind us that the greatest risk we face at the peak of success is losing touch with who we truly are. Holding on to oneself amid glory requires maintaining the same vigilance, humility, and authenticity that helped us overcome earlier hardships. It involves continually grounding ourselves through reflection, gratitude, and genuine empathy towards others. Practicing humility in moments of triumph is not only wise but vital. It safeguards against the inevitable dangers lurking beneath the surface of success. Ultimately, life's greatest victories come not from external rewards but from the inner strength developed through consistently holding on to one's true self. This balance is the hallmark of true greatness and sustainable success. Recognizing this truth often comes at a steep price, but understanding it before it is too late can prevent devastating outcomes. In the end, holding on to yourself during both hardship and glory is the profound journey toward genuine wisdom, resilience, and lasting fulfillment. Conclusion: the journey to true wisdom. Life is a continuous journey of learning and growth, filled with highs and lows, triumphs and trials. The story of the deer and its glorious antlers serves as a profound metaphor, reminding us that pride and vanity, though seemingly rewarding, can ultimately lead to ruin if left unchecked. Similarly, humans must constantly navigate the intricate balance between ambition and humility, strength and vulnerability, success and authenticity. True wisdom emerges from recognizing and respecting the inherent dualities of life. It is the capacity to acknowledge our strengths without becoming enslaved by them, and to face our weaknesses without allowing them to define us. Success, when tempered with humility and self-awareness, transforms into meaningful fulfillment rather than fleeting glory. Ultimately, the greatest achievement in life is not merely reaching the summit but remaining grounded and true to oneself amid the winds of success. May we all find the courage and wisdom to navigate both hardship and glory gracefully, building legacies defined by integrity, resilience, and genuine humility.